Hey, everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. I'm Anthony, and this is the podcast where connections thrive. Each episode, we spotlight inspiring entrepreneurs, professionals, and individuals doing amazing things. Together, we'll grow your circle, spark collaborations, and discover new opportunities. Today, we're meeting Brian Reinbold, a passionate speaker and mentor dedicated to bringing optimism, hope, and a purpose to people's lives. Through his work, Brian empowers individuals to discover their inner light, build strong communities, and experience the true abundance the world has to offer. How are you doing today, Brian?
I'm doing good. That sounds nice. Yeah.
Hey, what can I do to put together a couple nice sentences? So you're doing a
Thank
lot
you.
of cool things, so you make it easy. So
Yeah, thank you.
starting off, where are you calling in from? Where are you located?
Well, I'm in Rockford, Illinois, and also known as the Forest City, in a little bit between Chicago and Madison.
I got you. Can you, since you're using a neck mic, can you pull it off of your shirt a little bit? It's rubbing, and it's making a scratching sound.
All right. Yeah, I just pulled
Yeah,
the earpiece out. So
you're
yeah,
good. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure
better?
it wasn't
All right.
scratching. Better.
I got this mic recently because my camera microphone quit, and it just reminds me how much we love our technology when it works.
Yeah, it's still scratching a little bit, but
Okay,
just want to make sure.
I'll try to be still.
Yeah, just don't move at all. No, you're good. So awesome. Well, up in the Rockford area, what do you do for fun? Let's say you have friends coming into town. Where are you going? Where are you taking them? What are you doing? And where are you going for dinner?
Well, one place that I really love to go is called Anderson Gardens, Anderson Japanese Gardens, and kind of make the little joke about that as far as, when you think Japanese gardens, the name that comes to mind is Anderson. But the Anderson family, they started this Japanese garden here, and it's considered one of the top 10 places to go in Illinois. So it's about a 15-minute walk from the house, and I head up there a lot during the summertime. They've got a nice brunch restaurant, but there's a lot of places to go and to eat here. And people ask us, how do you like Rockford? And I say, I love it. And so often you hear like, really? I was like, yeah, really. So yeah.
Yeah, I got you. No, that sounds fun. I grew up downstate Illinois, so we went up there fairly, not very often, but yeah, once in a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get a general idea what's up there. I'm in the Midwest as well, so
Yeah.
But yeah, what can you tell us about what you do?
Well, I tell people I'm retired but busier than ever, and I describe the work that I do as I'm the mission specialist. So I work on the idea of mission and purpose, where mission is what we do and purpose is why we do it. And the idea that people love to be around passionate individuals. And we always like to have passion ourselves. And what I've found is that when you know your purpose and you live that, passion is something that ensues. So it's not like I want to find my passion. Find your purpose, do that, and passion ensues. So what a friend of mine said some years ago, she said, find the place where your bliss meets the hunger of the world. And I find especially with retired people, but I'm also finding more and more with young people, especially college-age students, the idea that, what is my purpose? Retired guys tend to have gone through life working and thinking that retirement is supposed to be some kind of lifetime of vacation. And the disillusionment that comes after a couple of years of living that lifetime of vacation, like, who am I now? So finding purpose is a way to overcome boredom, anxiety, depression, and just have an adventure and live a passionate life.
So how'd you find this purpose? How'd you get started in this? Obviously, you were doing something else before because now you're retired. But what led you to where you are?
I've been in sales, and I have throughout my sales career, I was involved in volunteer service. I used to work a lot with youth. There was a guy named Hugh O'Brien, who years ago went over to Africa and met with Dr. Albert Schweitzer, is a name that everyone should know. But he came away with the idea of doing something to promote leadership in young people. And when I got out of college, I started working with Hugh on his leadership program for high school students. And I realized, the perspective about 15 years ago, I realized that, some of those students that were youths when I first began doing that were already retired. So that is a real perspective for you. But I've been involved with that, the idea of do what you love. Alan Watts, if money were no object, what would you do? Go do that. Sister Thomas Welder, find a place where your bliss meets the hunger of the world. And this is the kind of thing Albert Schweitzer said, I don't know what your destiny will be, but I do know that the only ones among you who will be truly happy are those who have sought and found a way to serve others. So I've been working in this area as a volunteer. I was in sales my whole life. And Anthony, in sales, you can volunteer your way out of a job because you have a flexible schedule. And I suppose that actually happened a couple of times. It was like, yeah, hey, Brian, you got a flexible schedule. You can do it. Oh yeah, I'll take care of that. But I managed to strike a balance with it, and was able to essentially retire when I was 50. And doing this kind of work, I suppose you'd say, more exclusively since then.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And you're absolutely right about being able to, if you have a little bit of flexibility in your schedule, you got to be protective of it too.
Yeah,
Right? So,
yeah.
awesome. What is it that you love most about what you're doing?
It's something I call the aha moment. When I'm working with someone and they, we're working on, what is your purpose? What are you great at? What do people tell you you're great at? What do you love to do? And where does that intersect? And they invariably will come to a point where they say, "Oh my God, I get it," and it was in here all along. That aha moment. It's like you can't so much seek and find your purpose as you can allow it to be revealed. Because my experience is that it comes from within. And I think, I can't remember, was it Buddha or Confucius said, only when the pupil is ready will the teacher appear. And that's that voice of the genuine that comes from within.
Yeah, it's kind of got to hit you in the face a little bit.
Yeah, but it's oh my God, I get it. It was in here all along. It's like I knew it. People have this aha moment that says, I knew that. It's like, and I think we've all had that experience, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely. It is a reoccurring theme. So awesome. Well, what does the average client look like, or what are the pain points that somebody might be going through that if they're dealing with X, Y, Z, you're the person they should talk to?
Well, in terms of like mission and purpose, coaching or consulting, let's say, that would be, hey, I've been retired for a couple of years and I just don't know who I am anymore. People will constantly say, I need a new purpose. When I was working, I always knew exactly why I was doing what I was doing, but I need something new now. And there's a lot of opportunities for people to get into things there. And then, working with organizations, it's helping them to figure out, well, nonprofit organizations in particular. I've done a lot of work with nonprofits over the years and helped quite a few smaller nonprofits get up and running and get started. And one of the things that is a recurring theme there is hey, I got an idea. I got an idea. You should. And it's easy to come up with a lot of ideas. And we consider every well-intentioned idea a good idea. But there's only a few that you can turn into great ideas. And that's one that I define as an idea that you put your time, talent, energy, and love into and turn it from good into great. And so we do a retreat. That's really one of my favorite things to do, is a retreat for board of directors, where we brainstorm good ideas, and you might have 900 that come out on a Friday morning, and by Saturday afternoon we've got it down to 3 that they're going to really go to work on.
I heard it recently. Good ideas are cheap, because what happens is somebody does something and they become successful, and you go, "Oh, I had that idea," or I could have come up
Yeah,
with that," and you absolutely could have. But could you have put in the amount of time, effort, passion into doing it, to getting it from, like you said, from a good idea to a great reality? That's where the hard part is, and that's what people realize when they have their good ideas. The good idea fairy comes along and
yeah,
everybody gets them. But
yeah,
going from there to there, that's the hard part. um, and every entrepreneur knows that, because
yeah.
that's day to day for us.
And one of the things in working with a board is, like, we got directors. They come in, or volunteers. You should. And there's, I think we've all heard that. It's I know I should. I know I should. What do you want to do? Do it. And there's um, sometimes there are things that you should do that it turns out, well, I really want to do that because of where that leads. I don't necessarily have it at the top of my fun list, but there are things that should be done. But um, with the directors, in a nonprofit, for example, one of the things that we encourage is, if I was coming up with an idea, to Anthony, I have an idea. We should, and I will. And that's the process that begins to take an idea from being good. And it kind of works that way. Um, I know I should work out, and I will go to the gym on Thursday to get started. Something like that. Um, Works out personally too. Yeah.
Absolutely, it does. What about power partners? What are other professionals or industries that you synergize really well with, or find a lot of opportunities to collaborate with?
Well, let's see. I've Frank Agan.
Yep.
Frank is he's when I read Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point. One of the 3 kinds of people in there is called a connector, and I thought, as Gladwell described a connector as someone who makes connections for the sheer joy of seeing good things happen. And I thought, wow, that's me. That's what I do. And I thought, wow, I'm a connector. And then I met Frank, and I realized, man, I've been like maybe double A ball, and he's an all-star.
Yeah.
And so, the networking hub, and then he started something called the Charitable Roundtable that meets on once a month, and I've been the MC for that for a couple of years. High character individuals who either run charities or are philanthropists who support charities, and it's a great place to connect with people. And there's a lot of places. There's a lot of uh, good places to connect. Actually, the best connections I ever made were through my Bravehearts radio program. I met people that I never would have met if it hadn't been for that platform. And I imagine that you kind of ran into that situation too, right?
Exactly. Yeah, there's so many people that I've been introduced to that I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here, right? But it happens that way, and it's awesome. It's really cool to see. So,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
What advice would you give a new or aspiring entrepreneur?
Um, that's a really good question. I think of something from uh, Howard Thurman, who was an inspiration to me. Um, he said, "Don't ask what the world needs. Instead, ask what makes me come alive. And then go do that." And I think what happens is when we do that, we find that's what the world wanted from us. So for an entrepreneur, I would say find the place where your bliss meets the hunger of the world. Do what makes you come alive. And the best way to figure that out, I've found, is think of a Venn diagram with the three circles, right? And one circle is what you are great at, not what you're just good at, but what do people tell you you're great at? What do you hear from other people that say, this is what, man, you are so, I hear, man, you are, nobody connects the dots the way you do. Okay, I love doing that, and so that's my bliss. That's what makes me come alive. Is that connecting the dots and emceeing and that kind of work. So for an entrepreneur, I'd say, be sure that what you're doing is something that just lights you up. Because when you do that, passion ensues. People want to be around that. And you don't even hardly need a to-do list. You just get up and roll. And that's among the best feelings that you can have. And when you feel good, you have a tendency to perform better.
Yeah, fantastic advice. We all know it when you see it. When you're having a conversation with somebody that's just doing something because it's expected of them, they come off one way. Or when you talk to somebody that's super authentically passionate about what they're doing, you feel that, you're excited about it, and you want to help in some way. It's just kind of magnetic the way that it works. And it's one of those things you know when you see it. So fantastic advice.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
How can finding purpose and community help somebody overcome loneliness and thrive?
Finding purpose and community
and community.
And community. Well, finding purpose, is where passion ensues. And if you're working with people who are similarly purposed and passionate, that's an exciting workplace. And loneliness is that's a tough question, Anthony, because I took a personality test recently, and I was pleased to report that I tested positive. But one of the questions had to do with this certain personality, which I thought, well, that looks a lot like how I would define myself, but it says hates to be alone. And I thought, I don't hate to be alone. I enjoy my time alone. In fact, one test that I took says that I'm an introvert. That's the Myers-Briggs, right? And to me, it's interesting because the description of that particular type says often mistaken for extroverts because they are so outgoing. So I think it's possible for an extrovert to be lonely in a crowd. It's just it's definitely possible, I would say, for an introvert to be lonely in a crowd because they maybe don't want to be there. But what they talk about is how introversion, extroversion is more about where we get our energy rather than being outgoing or reserved. So I don't know if that's a good answer for you there, but
no, it makes sense. That's day to day how you feel. Some days you're like, I can definitely, a networking event sounds good, and other days you're mortified by the idea of actually going out.
And I suppose loneliness is more of a longing for contact and connection, and maybe a solution to it is appreciation, because this occurred to me during the pandemic that it's like we always took for granted that we could get together until we couldn't. And then when we were able to get together again, we had a new appreciation for being able to get together. So it occurred to me that, taking something for granted is really the opposite of appreciating it. And so loneliness, yeah, Viktor Frankl's work, Man's Search for Meaning,
Mm-mm.
one of the best-selling books of all time, and something of a favorite of mine. I liked his idea that he was a survivor of concentration camp in World War II, and he said, no matter my suffering, I always retained the freedom to decide how to respond to the suffering. And so he said that is the greatest freedom. It's not what happens to us, how we respond to it. But he also said that suffering is like the behavior of the gas in a room. You put a certain amount of gas into a room, and it completely and evenly fills the room. And in the same way, suffering completely and evenly fills the human mind and the human soul. And regardless of whether it's a hangnail or immense suffering, right? And so I thought that applies to virtually any emotion. If you're thinking about being lonely, if you're thinking about suffering, if you're thinking about it occurred to me about hate the other day. It's like people these days, like, well, I have righteous hate. And it's like, that's bullshit. That's BS. Because it's like that, that even if it's a little tiny bit of, I just hate it when I lose my car keys, well, that hate fills your soul and your mind. And so fill your soul and your mind with something else, with a positive emotion. And I've heard that the highest emotional intelligence emotion is gratitude. So any little bit of thanks that you can give at any time, I reckon that's a positive thing.
Well, that leads perfectly into this. How can a positive mindset create abundance and opportunity in life?
Oh, that's a good question. There's something I say is we live in the best time in the history of the world, the best place in the history of the world. It's good. It's actually better than good. It's great, and it's getting better, and it's getting better fast. And it's exciting to be part of it, to be able to be here to watch this happen. But it's exhilarating to be part of making it happen. But many people do not experience this. They either refuse to believe it, or they just are in circumstances that do not allow them to see this. And so I find my role is to bring the optimism that says, this is the best time. This is the best place. And that optimism, that spirit of yes, it is possible, that comes from within. So that's part of my role. So that little bit of optimism. Had a boss one time. He said there was a story about this little boy who was shoveling out a barn, and it was just like wagon load after wagon load of manure, and then he was so happy. And somebody said, "How are you so cheerful about this?" He says, "I know there's got to be a pony around here somewhere." So seek something positive and be grateful for it, and fill your mind with that. That would be the simple way of putting it, perhaps.
Awesome. Yeah, I like that. I know with all this stuff, there's so many areas that we could touch on and go into, but just in general, is there anything that I missed or failed to ask that you wanted to add?
Oh man, let's see. Well, I am working with a new foundation called the Spotlight Hope Foundation, which is an all volunteer charity helping families find resources when their child has cancer. And anything from a ride, which is the most frequent thing asked for, all the way up to life-saving treatment. So last year the app served 4,000 families at a $38 per family cost, and so I think, man, that's a pretty good value for a charity. So that's my plug for Spotlight Hope Foundation, and you can find out about that at brianreinbold.com.
Okay. And then you have something coming up on the 25th of April.
Yeah, the 25th. Well, National Superhero Day is April 28th. So around that weekend, we're doing something for the Spotlight Hope Foundation with superhero events. So I'm going to get. Well, last year I dressed up as Superman, and I tell people I'm more credible as Batman's butler these days. So looking for a younger, more buff Superman, but I do have a muscle suit just in case I need to go back there. We make banners for kids for when they get out of the hospital or get done with the string of treatment. And it's a way to connect with families to get them the Spotlight Hope app. So,
for people that want to know more, you mentioned your website. Is that the best place that they find you, or how other?
Yeah, they can find me there. I've got my LinkedIn connection there. I've got a Calendly link. I've got my I think my phone number's there, and email and all that. So I have it at the bottom of my business card, and it's a this it's got all the contacts in there, but you have to go to the .com, and then there's Spotlight Hope link. There's a Superhero Day link, and there's a link to Bravehearts TV, which is a new TV network that is in the process of being launched, and pretty darn cool. So.
Perfect. And I'm going to put all that in the show notes, so it's super easy to find. Just go to the website.
All right.
If anybody would like to get a hold of Brian, do it.
Yeah.
You're going to walk away with a smile on your face, feeling better. You're going to have that positive mindset, and you're very likely going to be able to help some people. That's kind of what we should all be striving for. Obviously you have to do your business like we talked in the beginning. Be protective of your calendar, but fill it where you can with opportunities of helping without asking for anything in return. That's leading service first. That's going to help you. I like to say the universe is like a giant vending machine, slot machine, whatever it is. You put $1 in, eventually two come out. So how many dollars do you want to put in it? Right? Stuff it.
My dad had a saying. He said, "A smile is the best investment you can make. You give it away, you're probably going to get it right back."
Exactly. So awesome. Yeah. So absolutely reach out to Brian. If anybody would like to get a hold of me, you can find us at ikag.me. You can find more episodes, subscribe to our newsletter, and connect with our growing community of awesome people like Brian. If you were somebody you know would like to be interviewed, you can also apply on the website. But Brian, I really appreciate you coming on, taking the time to have this conversation with us. You're doing a lot of awesome things.
Thank you.
I'm really, really happy there's people out there like you bringing positivity to the world. So really appreciate that. Let's all go out. Let's try and do the same. Have an awesome day and grow our circles. All right.
All right. Thanks, Anthony.
My pleasure.